Quiet on set.
And action!
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines!
Welcome to a spin-off of our Best of 2024 series where we dive into the gritty, bloody, and bone-crunching genre of action. I'm Ewan Graf, and today I'm joined with Kevin, our revered action specialist, even though I've technically seen more action films than Kevin has last year, so I don't know who's the actual action specialist.
Yeah. Well, we'll dive deeper into all of that in a second, but I'm happy to report it's been a very decent year for action cinema. Between the two of us, we watched 90 plus action movies, and we will now present to you the creme de la creme. We have a full list of all the movies mentioned below in the description, so definitely go check out that list if you want to see all the movies.
Not every action film is worthwhile, and even though Kevin chooses his films a bit more carefully, well, I don't. So I'll sit through the slop because that's film journalism shit, I guess. But anyways, it still counts. I've seen more films than you, Kevin.
Yeah. Go on.
Well, let's get through the stuff that you definitely should avoid. Have you heard of a little film called Jackpot or Damsel, Atlas, the French Wages of Fear remake, The Cleanup Crew, or The Painter? Probably not, but you've probably heard of Red One, Argyle, Borderlands, Rebel Moon, and Craven the Hunter. What do they all have in common? Yes, they're all shit, and I've seen them all. So also The Beekeeper came out this year, which we reviewed on this channel early on, and the two of us, which was followed up by The Bricklayer. So I feel like they're just kind of running through all of the different professions that you can. We had The Painter in it as well. Lots of that going on. They're not always great, but The Beekeeper was kind of decent. But overall, I'd say these movies, avoid them. We got some better picks for you.
Obviously, Ewan watches all the slop. I try to choose my movies a bit more carefully, like he said. I also try to watch action from all the continents. So I try to watch a lot of movies from Asia, China, Japan, India, as well. A Tamil movie that Ewan couldn't even finish. So
No,
hey, there are also a lot of great channels out there that dive into this action stuff, which makes me aware of them. So I just want to give a quick shout out to them. Head Exposure or Kinemotions on YouTube, which actually had an action year in review, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Shogun Supreme on Twitter, which is Times Kung Fu, also makes me aware of a lot of stuff. More Badass on Letterboxd, which also makes me aware of all the good stuff. Generally, there's a lot of good people out there to follow on all the action news, especially in movies and TV, so definitely go check them out. That being said, are there actually some action movies out there that deserve the action label and just are not going to be mentioned or should be mentioned? You wouldn't talk me to it.
Yeah, there's a bunch, because we try to choose a top 5 based on a movie that deserves to have action as their first label. In a way, it is purely an action movie, and every other thing, if it's a thriller, if it's a horror movie or whatever, is like secondary, right? The action needs to be the focus of the story. But there were some great movies that would kind of go under there, because we watched Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cloud at Venice last year, and it was amazing. And there's a ton of action, self-described from the director, that it is like his take on an action movie. We got Rebel Ridge, which is just a tense building machine to lead up to action all the time. It's not like full on all out action all of the time. Or we got the bigger blockbusters, right? We have like Twisters, for example, which I think was pretty solid. Or comedies like Hundreds of Beavers. Kevin, you got some more for me?
Yeah, we got Promised Land, which had an action label on Letterboxd, which I don't really remember that much action in Promised Land, but sure. Escape from the 21st Century, which was a favorite of mine from last year, but doesn't really have an action label added to it, which is understandable considering the amount of genres that are in that movie. So yeah. I get it. We got Mars Express, which was a great animated sci-fi movie, but again, it's very much more of a crime thriller, Blade Runner-esque type movie than an action movie. Yeah. We have Civil War.
More of a drama.
Yeah, more drama. We have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is more blockbusters. And compared to the other Planet of the Apes movies, doesn't really go that deep into the action. You got Thelma. It's an action movie, but it stars a 90-year-old grandma, so she isn't...
It's a Mission Impossible spin-off.
Yeah, she isn't exactly gonna be doing martial arts stuff anytime
But she rolls
soon.
over that bet really smoothly, so...
Exactly. We got Alien Romulus, which is more horror, if we're being honest. We got The Wild Robot, which I didn't even think it had an action label on Letterboxd, but apparently it does. And last but not least, we got The Order, which again is really more of a crime thriller movie. Any noteworthy honorable mentions outside our top 5 that do qualify, Ewan?
On not all of these maybe, because I guess most of them are like also tied to some other genres. That's why I feel like there's different genres like horror that do the meshing quite well, or comedies lately that pair up with, which we have a couple of movies in our top 5 which would definitely fall under the comedy tag as well. Just outside of my top 5 in my honorable mentions, I got the Roadhouse remake. I had a pretty good time with that. I got the Executioner, the Netflix movie Carry On. I got Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. It was a big blockbuster, but had a great time especially when the big ape took the smaller one and smashed it all around. I got Eye for an Eye 2. I got the animated film Ultraman Rising, which had some pretty solid action in a movie that seemed to have been, whatever this Netflix shit is, avoided. And then it was actually kind of decent. I thought the Fall Guy was really charming and had some great action set pieces. And just last night on my night call, I watched Night Call, the Belgian movie. Great under the radar one that Kevin put me on to.
I mean, we should mention Ewan watched the day before this recording, I believe, six action movies. So he did his deep dive, and I'm very proud of him.
Thank you.
Obviously, one of those movies was Life After Fighting, which the story isn't that great. It's kind of a Sound of Freedom-esque subplot in it, which didn't do much for me, but holy shit, the acting, like the guy writing, producing, directing, doing the action choreography. I mean, there's someone else doing that, we will talk about later, but such an accomplishment, really, it has to be mentioned. Kill, which also has some dreadful emotional beats that stretch way too long, especially in slow motion. If you watch the movie, you understand what I'm talking about. But all the action, again, in that movie, phenomenal. The Roundup, Punishment, Don Lee, or Madong Seok, I believe his Asian name is, the 4th film in the series, and I don't know if they're gonna stop. I think they're creating 1 more, 2 more perhaps. He never disappoints. If you want someone punching in action cinema, watching Don Lee punch somebody is just satisfying every time. We got Shadows Trace. The director is directing Nobody 2, the Bob Odenkirk movie, up next. And Shadows Trace is a really, really good one, so check that out if you can. We got Bad Boys Ride or Die. The people saying this franchise would have run out of steam without Michael Bay have been proven wrong by Adil and Bilal. They're doing great stuff. Pair of Belgian directors. I'm a Belgian guy, obviously, so I'm very proud of them. You know what? If you haven't seen Rebel, please do, because that's the best movie and it hasn't been seen a lot by international audiences. Bad Boys Ride or Die and Rebel, go check them out. We have Arcadian. That's a bit of a horror movie, but I just like the fact that there's an action label in it, and we haven't really mentioned it anywhere, so that's why I'm mentioning it now. We got Long Gone Heroes, directed by Jean Swab, which is the director of King Ivory, which is a movie we saw in Venice and really liked. Long Gone Heroes, a bit underneath King Ivory, but I enjoyed it. And then last but not least, we got La Nuit se traîne, which is basically Nightcall, but I said the French title, so... I got
show
you,
off. Well, let's not longer dilly-dally, because we gotta get to our top 5s. People are eager to hear. Kevin, from you first. What is your number 5 most favorite action movie of 2024?
It's the only movie in my top 5 I have on physical media. Sorry, Lachlan, I'm bragging about physical media on this
I think he also has it on physical media, so like...
It's Monkey Man. It's one of those lost COVID productions, really. I don't recall any more of them coming out after. Monkey Man is a movie with baffling production stories. A 9-month lockdown on one island with his whole crew, trying to figure this stuff out, trying to create it. Dev Patel putting us all into it. We talked about Life After Fighting. In this one, Dev Patel is also directing, writing and producing it. I mean, the guy is doing everything, acting in it, obviously. And what are the results? A screw in his hand could have potentially snapped if he put any more pressure on it during the production. So again, a lot of stress involved. He got an eye infection. He had a torn shoulder. I mean, Ewan, we don't see any of this stuff in real life, but the fact it translates onto the screen. Obviously, Monkey Man is inspired by other South Korean action, he specifically stated. So I'm thinking Old Boy, A Bittersweet Life, A Man from Nowhere. It's one of this year's, best action cinema. It also has one of the best elevator fights alongside a movie called Black Storm. There's a brutal kill in there where he puts the knife in a guy's throat and then grabs it with his mouth and tries to shred it further. It's brutal, and it's in general one hell of a debut. I can't wait to see what he's doing next in the directing department, if he's doing anything in the directing department, because I can see, as a director and especially as an actor, holding off on the next project after such a demanding one. Is it in your top 5?
Yes, it's actually not spot number 5, it's spot number 4. I mean, this one was a lot of fun, where I feel like you're always a bit skeptical when maybe someone directs for the first time and you're like wondering, okay, do they just get the budget to do something because of the basis of being an actor for a long time, or can he actually deliver on it? And fuck yeah, I mean, Monkey Man fucking bangs. It's got some really fun action beats and has a pretty solid story as well, which is one of the things that keeps some of the movies off of my top 5. If the action is amazing, if every other scene where people are talking, I'm cringing out of my mind. I cannot buy into fully. And then there's a couple of films where they just all out action and there's no story, but Monkey Man kind of pairs it up nicely, where the cinematography is pretty stunning and you can feel the sort of it's coming through that Dev Patel went through a lot to make this movie. It kind of translates onto screen, and I don't know if that's just him acting because it is completely what that character needs, or if it comes out of the troubleshooting of this production. But if you haven't seen Monkey Man yet, I mean, it's got a solid poster, got a solid lead, got solid direction, it's got some crazy fights, so definitely worth checking out.
Alright, one more production story I want to share about Monkey Man, which is just his use of iPhones. So sometimes there is a scene, I don't know what those vehicles are called with the 3 wheels.
Tricycle.
Yeah.
How do you mean with the cars with 3 wheels? And I don't know what they're called either.
I just love
Mr.
in my
Bean.
head just him putting an iPhone in there and just racing across this island with it. So that type of filmmaking I love, and I love the fact that he had that in him. So Monkey Man, I recommend. What's your number 5 then, Ewan?
Well, I kind of have a tie, but you already brought it up, Kill, which is on the outside looking in my number 5, because I do have a tie, but I'll talk about Kill first, because it's this movie where we are basically stuck on a train and one guy is just smashing his way through everyone. It is crazy brutal. It's got some beats in the story that, keep it from being even higher. Some emotional beats that are pretty laughable when you shouldn't be laughing. It's because this movie takes itself very seriously. There's no sort of playing into something there. The close space action scenes are some of the best I've seen all year. Apart from maybe some elevator scenes like you mentioned with Black Storm, this got some solid action, even kicking off people from the train. Brutal. The stuff is I was flinching a bunch during this movie, because it sometimes in action you're okay, they got the hand, okay, the beat, yes, now they're breaking it. But here it happens so fast sometimes, it's oh my god, stop. And it's just a big old thrill to see him. And
especially the endurance of these henchmen. They aren't going out in a beat, like you said. They're actually fully being tortured, hung up.
They're not okay, going up, snap the neck and done. It's sometimes but it's dude, it's just. And I also love the story, which is in a way going where they get more and more fed up with him just killing more and more people, and you're wondering, okay, where are all of these henchmen coming from? And they kind of it's not always serious to me. Some moments were kind of came off funny. I don't know if it was intentional, but I had a great time with Kill. But my actual number 5 pick, maybe we can save it if you want to, because it comes up later in it. Okay, let's talk about it now. Twilight of the Warriors Walled In is incredible. Like I was lucky enough to see this on the big screen in Cannes. Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Not knowing anything about like this city, like that is actually based off like a real place. Then going in there and just using, I just talked about tight spaces in a city where like there's so many people around, but also you can work with height quite well. And then a character who I believe is able to use chi, if I'm not mistaken. He does have sort of powers.
Yeah.
It's been a while. In May was when I saw this last, and I was just baffled by the sort of like chase scenes. There was so many great things in Twilight of the Warriors World, and it's hard to just like say what is great about it, because I feel like the whole package here is good. I was also in for the story. Pretty fun one sometimes, because you gotta go from henchman to like then the big boss. There's so many characters that I introduced because lead is so good at like overcoming and killing all of them that it feels like it's too much, and it's always like the build up, kill, build up, kill, build up, kill, and that can be very repetitive. I think the story beats in this were actually so rewarding. Every fight felt pretty great. But yeah, you got it higher, Kev. Where is it on your list?
It's ranked on my third with another tie. We'll talk about that later. It's another strong actioner from Soi Chang, which I have seen another movie of. I believe I've seen Accident, and he has plenty of other movies that I also want to see. He has Limbo, SPL 2, which I actually own on Blu-ray, so I'm definitely going to be seeking that out. He has Motorway. Those are all movies I want to see. Mad Fate. Like, I'm gonna do a deep dive on this guy's filmography, and especially after seeing Twilight of the Warrior. And like you said, we're actually spending a lot of time in these gray slums. There's a lot of build-up, makes everything in the end way more coherent and have a bigger emotional impact than any of the other movies we've discussed previously. And like you said, it's based on very strong historic foundations, which just makes the movie that much more interesting. If you're an action guy, you know Sammo Hung is in this movie and he's phenomenal. We got Louis Koo, and again, I might be butchering these names, I apologize. But yeah, like you said, Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In. I actually watched the Corridor video. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I saw that one.
So again, the way they combine stunts and visual effects is also pretty impressive to see. Yeah, definitely go check this one out, guys.
And then we move on to your number 4, which are 2 movies from the same franchise.
Eye for an Eye 2 is my number 4. Blade of Fury, which is an honorable mention really, but because it's in the same universe, I kind of tack that on. But Eye for an Eye 2, look, we watched a bunch of Iki movies, which is this streaming service from China, which apparently boomed during the pandemic, and it also offers a plethora of action movies on there. And I guess it's sort of its response to Netflix, to all of the schlock and shit you watched, as you mentioned earlier. Between this whole region of action movies in this catalog, there are a lot of them that are way better than the Netflix movies, and one of them is Eye for an Eye 2, which is the continuation of The Blind Swordsman, obviously based on Zatoichi, which you got behind there, the box set behind you. And you know, The Blind Swordsman has been a trope, if you will, that has been continued throughout cinema history. You know, we got the OG one, we got the Takeshi Kitano one, you have most recently Kane in John Wick 4, which is purely based on Zatoichi. And in Eye for an Eye 2, The Blind Swordsman basically gets combined with The Lone Wolf and The Cup, I believe the series is called, right? And it makes for a pretty interesting, it makes for a pretty thrilling movie. I don't know, did you hate the kid?
I didn't like the kid much, but I liked that he was always drunk. I think that was kind of funny. And all of these movies, even Blade of Fury, they're just always drinking. And to me, it's so funny that in both 1 and 2, this is not a spoiler, the like catalyst for something atrocious to happen always happens when he gets shit-faced and wakes up the next morning and is like, everyone's dead. And he's like, I still don't care.
I have to fix this shit right now, right? But I4 and I2 is a real upgrade to the first one, and you can see that the first one was, a
just
success.
The flame swords. There's just so many great looks in this.
And like you said, there are movies where there's a mini boss, you have to beat that guy. There's another one. This movie kind of had the same structure to it, but every boss is as interesting. So that and also different, which keeps the movie fresh.
Weapons as well. I think in Blade of Fury a bit more than I4 and I, but I think what keeps it fresh here is not that we need they need to be introduced that they got like one quirk about themselves, like being bald or whatever. But
you
they have like different types of they have different types of weapons they use, and that makes it really, really thrilling because especially because he's blind. Well, I think the movies are often then just bring as many people as you can into them, and I think Blade of Fury is more because it's not blind in that one, different character. It can be a bit more of like a variety. Here's just a thrill of someone who constantly, like, to me it's also super impressive that I didn't see like his eyes open ever during the fighting, which is just impressive, like for the fight choreography to kind of work that in, because that must have been so hard to film.
And the highlight of these films is the ending every time. The final bosses, the final fights.
Kill Bill-esque in a way.
Kill Bill-esque. You get thrown so many enemies at them, and you just believe it. Like, you're like, wow, he's gonna smash these guys all up. He's gonna smash
it's like
them all
blind Dynasty Warriors at some point. The way that he goes about it.
But I believe they're also like free to watch, because you can watch them on the Key, but like in a lower quality. So these Key movies, you can definitely watch them if you just seek them out. And I recommend you do. So Ewan, what's your number 3?
Yes, my number 4 was Monkey Man, so let's move on to One More Shot, which was the sequel to One Shot, which we also reviewed on the channel. You can find a double review of both of those films.
I think it was kind of the start of me introducing you to action movies.
Yeah, well, it was, I think we did Beekeeper, and it was like, he stung me and he smelled blood, and then he was like, oh, I can come back for more, for one more shot. And I really had a great time with this, because clearly it uses the gimmick of the one shot, right? Okay, how do we utilize that in a story? It's hard to do in action, because a lot of action movies, you get 17 shots in 15 seconds, to convey to convey that sort of kinetic energy a bit more efficiently. And I think a lot of our other picks that are coming up later use that to a benefit, but it's also in here feels like a great showcase for great stunts. Obviously they are spliced together. It's not like there's this digital compositing in here to kind of, it's not actually just one shot, because that'd be fucking crazy
and tiring. Especially
these straight to VOD ones is like the ones that you keep on your radar way more than I do, because I never have a clue when Scott Adkins comes out with a new film, and he's just there. And there's another one, and I think he's a great lead in this. There's not too much going on. Obviously the storyline in this one is in the first one they're like on an army base. You can see like obviously easier on the budgeting, but here they rent out a whole fucking airport and they go around, and you can work with like levels. You're not just all on the same plane. That was no pun intended. Which literally at some point I think we are on a plane. It's great. I think this is just a stunt case for action, a showcase, sorry, not a stunt case. And the story really doesn't fucking matter. Like the story is really just dumb. Well, it doesn't make any sense, but it's just action.
The first one, because you do have some emotional catalyst in the second one, and I also think that's why the second one is perceived a bit better than the first one, but I kind of prefer the first one.
The ratings are way too low on this. It's a 2.9 over on Letterboxd. I don't know what they're smoking, but it can't be good stuff. Because this shit banged. It was fun. It's not on your list, I believe, right?
No.
You preferred...
Again, I find the other movies a bit stronger, but again, One More Shot is definitely up there in the top 10. I love Scott Adkins. Again, like, watch his other movies. Excellent man. He has so many. Scott Adkins is a great guy, but he also makes less movies. Like, I've seen Take Cover, which was kind of shit. So like, dude is definitely not on a hot streak or anything, but when he's locked in, and he's locked in one more shot.
Hey, yo, I think I prefer him when he's actually in a lead role over when he's like,
oh yeah, because he's in Killer's
Day
Game.
Shift, Killer's Game, when he does pretty, I don't know, the Scottish accent there was a bit odd. I can't say that I was a fan as a half Scot. Anyways, Kev, what's your number 3?
Well, we actually kind of mentioned this movie already, if it deserves an action label, but the final fight, again, is so good. It has made its way into the top 5. It's Rebel Witch, guys. Jeremy Saulnier's latest. I'm a huge fan of Blue Ruin. Green Room I really like as well. I haven't seen his other movies. Hold the Dark, I believe it's called. Again, it's a Netflix movie. But Rebel Witch is also a Netflix movie, and that is definitely the best Netflix action movie of 2024. That was a
What do you
sentence.
mean? There was also Damsel with what's her name?
Man.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Rebel Witch, again, it starts out from the very first scene with Aaron Pierre on that bicycle.
Pew.
And just getting hit. From that moment on, the tension just never eases. It only builds up and builds up more till we get to the final fight, when he's dragging a certain cop across the ground, because that's another production story that I love about him saying, nah, I can drag him, we don't need wires for this, and the whole crew is just being like, huh, and just gathering around him being like, is he actually gonna do it? And he did. It made its way into the movie. Sure, one certain actor on the sideline isn't as interesting or intriguing for me, but I don't really care when you got Don Johnson versus Aaron Pierre. He's doing the whole leather thing. It's just great dialogue, and the action on top of it is just honestly the cherry on top. It's your number 2.
Yes, because I feel like when it comes to appreciating action, I can go all out, and you know, if the action beats are great, I can appreciate it. But I feel like I do need those dramatic bits to also strike, and I feel like more than the action in Rebel Ridge, just the tension building and the drama aspects might even be better than the action, which just make it such a complete full package that is so much fun. So that's like, you know, at the end of the year, if we look back at 2024, some people might remember Aaron Pierre for being Mufasa. Well, I remember him from being Terry Richmond.
I keep forgetting it was Mufasa, man.
Which he did great. His voice is incredible. I think it's such a presence that just asks for, no, doesn't ask. It demands as much authority and just listening to him as much as his like physical presence does.
I believe in our best of 2024 video we said the aura he has. You know,
the
like,
aura.
I don't really like to use that word.
Aura.
But yeah, his aura, his presence is so
Sure.
It's just big because he's such a big guy as well, which is kind of like, I can't picture John Boyega in this movie. I truly can't.
No, I don't think that works. He's a bit better to work as, he's still a big physical presence, but I think he works better as like an underdog. And I think Aaron Pierre is like, just the intimidation factor is just there. If you look at this guy,
I believe
he has that presence.
the upper hand.
Yeah, I would love to see him lead like another big action franchise. I can't name anything right now at the top of my head.
Well, he's doing Green Lantern, so
that's a great pick. I've never read any Green Lantern, but I'm sure he can do action well, even if he has to hold a Green Lantern and make shit appear. All right, that brings us to your number 2 pick, which is also my number 1.
Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, which again landed up really high in our best of 2024, and it certainly does in our action of 2024. The thing I love the most about Furiosa is how George Miller evolved its action compared to Fury Road. Again, Fury Road has an average shot length of, I believe, 1.4 seconds. It is very fast paced. It is very choppy, but in the good sense, and not in a derogatory, sense. Here you go from Fury Road to Furiosa, where his action has way longer shots. It's just built up perfectly. I just love that shot of the guy being behind the truck and just launching in the air. Those shots you wouldn't really see in Fury Road, and you get in Furiosa. And just seeing that seeing that evolution of action from one movie to another from the same director is for me a masterclass of filmmaking, and that's why Furiosa is actually number 2 on my list, because there's one movie I just like a bit more. But I can't deny in general that it's one of the best movies of 2024, and especially the best in the action genre. Ewan, it's your number 1.
Yeah, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it and you haven't seen Fury Road, there's no excuse, especially if you're from the States or if you're able to use a VPN and you have Netflix, because everyone has Netflix through someone. But it's streaming on Netflix, both of those films. Just sit down for like 5 hours and just have a great time. I like how it, like you said, like it evolves, like it gives a bit more time to soak in some moments. I don't prefer it over Fury Road, but to have the conversation of like how close they are is, come on. It's close enough, and it's a pity that this film went underseen in certain circles when it comes to like the mainstream audience that didn't go out to see it as much. But it's just such a spectacle when it comes to the filmmaking, the action, the presences, and I just like that he goes all in with his style. Like there's nothing half-assed about it. Like the way that they went about making Fury Road was so crazy. If you set the bar that high, that's not what filmmaking is. You don't set a bar, you do a different thing. Because otherwise, if we just try to break the bar again, we end up with the fucking MCU and there's just nothing. You know, you want to innovate, and I think having a different focus that is still within the same universe, that still showcases these high octane action scenes, that's what this franchise should be. And this franchise has always evolved. This year we also went through and watched all of the Mad Max movies again, and they're all very different. And they're all great for their own respective. I still, out of all of them, I think I got like Fury Road and Mad Max 2 right up against each other. The Road Warrior, 2 incredible movies, and then Furiosa. There's some great movies in this franchise, and if you've been sleeping on Furiosa, man, come on. This is the one that's like the highest up when you watch this. I think also easy to get into, because next pick for you, number 1, and for me, number 2 is a bit more out there. Like it's a bit harder to recommend than Furiosa, but I feel like you should just as much. Go seek it out. So, Kevin, your number 1 pick.
I'm gonna give it to you because I've seen the movies. I was really excited for you to watch them, especially as someone coming in new. I told you, I'm jealous you get to see these movies first watch, because I would love to re-experience that feeling again. But honestly, I'm giving you this one.
Well, it's Baby Assassins. Nice Days came out. You also said that the second one technically also screened this year.
Yeah, because States. It came out on physical and digital in the US in 2024, but in other places it was in 2023. So it's kind of this, crossover thing. But Baby Assassins Nice Days is definitely this year, and for me, it's the best of the franchise. So.
Yeah, for me, 2 is the best of the franchise. So we still get like both of those picks in there. First one is also great. For me, this was like, maybe you have the same feeling as I have right now. What the fuck is this doing on the best of Baby Assassins? Is this like some Harmony Korine shit? Baby Invasion? No. Very, very different and very much actually good. Just for me, being the guy who hates on kid performances all the time, when I hear Baby in the title, I'm like, here we go. This is some fucking Illumination baby, like boss baby type shit. No, it's first of all, kawaii. It is Japanese, which I'm always a bit more open to than I gotta say, like worldwide cinema. I think with Japanese cinema, I quickly identify it and actually appreciate it a lot. And it's about like these 2 teenage assassins, Mahiro and Chisato, that are just being teenagers but also assassins, and then they have this relationship between each other where they're just constantly eating. They're just always looking for the next thing to eat, but none of it feels like, okay, here's the next quest that we need to go, here's the next plot point, but they're just kind of existing. And then whenever they kind of need to, I guess they have to go work because like some build is coming up or whatever, but it's never over dramatized in a way where it feels like a plot beat. It feels very authentic to like them just living, and you're just a fly on the wall, just like watching whatever they're up to. And it is, I think, apart from Hundreds of Beavers, which I feel like is more a comedy than it is an action movie, this is definitely more an action series. In both of these films, I was just like giggling and like laughing out loud the whole time I was watching it. So I get what you were saying about getting to experience it all over again. I think I will even enjoy this when hopefully another one comes out. I know you've been watching the series that they got, which has kind of stagnated. We can't find any subtitles for it anymore, but there's like I think a 10 or 12.
There are 12 episodes, and I've only got subtitles for 6 of them. So
yeah.
I've seen this.
Learn some
6.
Japanese. No, but hey, you tell me what you appreciate about it, because I just said about like the story and those two characters, but I think the action, you know, you're more of the action expert. What about the action is like so fun?
Well, the curious thing about Baby Assassins, so this guy Yugo Sakamoto, he has done. By the way, I'm just gonna say, the first Baby Assassins was in 2021. Then we got the second one in 2023. Then we got another 12 episode series and a third movie. So they've gone full on in production with this franchise, with this series, with these two characters. They're actually, I believe, just early 20-year-old girls. They're not actually teenagers, but
no,
perhaps...
in the third one she turns 20. One of them. So it's like they're teenagers, and then at the end of the third one, she's not anymore.
Well, you know why I love the third one especially is because
the villain.
More than the first two is because while in the first two they're very campy, they're very fun, they're very I don't know what the exact word. They're very quirky, and in the third one, they kind of evolve from that stage. They kind of mature. The stakes are higher, and they're getting emotionally drawn to each other in a way that hasn't been portrayed into the first two, and I love that more. So
while still keeping the bits of jokes from the first two alive, right? It's kind of meshes those together.
Like the quirkiness, the comedy is still there, but it just goes into another phase as they mature. I think that's why the third one is my favorite. Also, the big bad or the villain, the villains, multiple sometimes, also get better with each movie. And I just love the third one. Just being an assassin was like, I have finally reached my 150th kill. And then it's
a complete psychopath.
Complete psychopath.
Which the actor is also amazing, Suzuki Ikematsu. He was in Shoplifters, but also in a recent film that's about to come out, My Sunshine. Here another non-action shout out. He's great in that movie too, and he just like adds a lot to that character that is just a complete psychopath, but also a very, well, I don't know how much of a skilled fighter he is as much as like our two leads are, but I just loved, especially in the first one already, the way that they use like their bodies to fight, but it's also in connection to like the camera work. It is so fast and able to keep up with them in a way that I thought like the best action movies of this year, also Eye for an Eye said, well, like there's a certain bit of like a rush with each like hit or finisher. It feels like this, there's something more to it where they figured out something to make action even more compelling. Maybe I just haven't watched a lot of this, but modern action films use a lot of these similar-ish looking techniques while still having unique characters and unique fighting styles that just make it so easy to watch. But yeah, I was more laughing than being thrilled, to be honest, with Baby Assassins. It was so funny.
Now, but I was truly thrilled with the action because it's, first of all, the two leads have also their own way of fighting. Obviously, my hero, which is the blonde, I believe, like, she's the brawler of the two, and just the way she goes underneath people, underneath their knees. Again, the way
she
they
has to
sweep
move
their legs. It's a lot more playful, which makes for me a bit more entertaining and interesting to watch because they can go in so many directions. The word playful, I believe, is the perfect way to describe the action, because in the third one, again, my favorite, my favorite action scene in that one, which is a trope, kicking away the gun and then going to melee for melee combat. In American movies, the gun, then they fight, then somebody picks the gun and then shoot. And the third one, there's a complete deconstruction of that trope. I believe that pistol just like 300 meters of away from its original prime location from where it got thrown away. As you know, they're trying to reach for this gun, they're kicking it. There's also a scene where my hero like sort of like lies on the ground and uses her feet to like go from wall to wall to wall in the hallway. And again, that type of playful action is why I love this series so much. As we said, the comedy, just these two girls struggling to find an average job to keep themselves occupied. That is very funny.
Yeah.
And I will say my favorite comedic bit in the second one, when they are a mascot, I just love that. So
the dynamic. I also love the way that they shoot it to show like the insides of it and the silliness of like what the conflict about infighting is all about, and like a sort of like subplot of someone being addicted to gambling. It is like it's so. It also has like a couple funny like current bits that it ties back into. I think they also have like a couple of pop culture references. Like one of the mentions that they play, I think Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom, when they say something like he says something about something
it's been a while since I've seen the first two.
There's a bunch of like lines that are just so funny, and to me the funniest bit I think was one of the funniest things was just them struggling with a washing machine. Like the movie is filled to the brim with those moments.
Yeah. When they're like praying to the washing machine, thanking for service.
Being fed up when it doesn't work. Like there's a ton of that. And then I think also because in the third one you said there's more stakes, there's like the sort of thing that they've come in contact with in the second one, which I don't want to spoil, with the way like the final fight plays out there, comes back into the third one in a way where the stakes seem to be higher. Yes, because at the for the first time in this one they are challenged up to a way where it's like they are outmatched. They like aren't winning, and they even have a bigger team, so you add the stakes basically there. A couple more dynamics, which I think wasn't totally needed. I think the cleanup crew, which we have not mentioned yet, are one of the funniest bits. It's the cleanup crew is so funny.
That's another strength of this franchise, right? Creating
There's so many characters,
side characters, especially. As you know, with all the previous movies we've mentioned before, oftentimes we got our lead. In this time, our leads, and the rest is just kind of there, right? And with this one, we are getting a bit of world building. There is a manager of this assassination guild. We got the cleanup crew, which is so funny because the guy is just constantly pissed off. Like, why don't you shoot him through the head? It's way more clear. Again, such funny bits. And then in the third one, we got another assassination duo. So we got a group project, which they don't really like. The side characters are also very strong, which again makes the whole movie strong and funny to work off on each other.
This was definitely, I think, the best recommendation you gave me for this year. Let's see if in the rest of 2025 Kev can give me another film that I haven't heard of before, like a recommendation that tops Baby Assassins. It should be at the very top, next to Furiosa, and you watch the two Fury Road and Furiosa, the Mad Max movies, and you go see the trilogy of Baby Assassins. And that sounds like a fun weekend that you should definitely do. And let us know about the films that maybe we missed. Maybe there's some stuff that Kevin ended up missing or that's not out yet, or some other recommendations. What's been great action films that you've seen this year? We'll keep you posted as long as we get to see new action films. We'll make sure to mention them and review them on this channel. So if you haven't already, leave a like and subscribe to not miss that. Thanks so much, Kevin, for doing this with me and giving me a reason to watch some more movies, man. I always appreciate watching even more.
There's a sentence in the Baby Assassin series where they say to each other, like, let's freeze another corpse in this freezer in 10 years, okay? So let's say something along the same lines. So let's watch some more bloody, gritty action movies and make another top 5 next year, okay, Ewan?
It's so wholesome. So I'll see you then.